Nia Jax and Randy Orton are headed to the finals of the King and Queen of the Ring. What is up, everybody? I'm Denise Salcedo. It is Friday, May 24th, here with Robin Lundberg to talk about WWE Smackdown, the go-home show into King and Queen of the Ring, taking place early tomorrow morning. Robin, what is up?
What's up, Denise? You are going to be saluting our Queen Nia by the end of this show today.
I think so. Honestly, I mean, it has been, you know what? I will say this. Like, I want to start off by saying this about the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. I have really enjoyed it this year. And I do like that. Again, like, it was pretty unpredictable for the women. For the men, we're exactly where we expected that we would be. But for the women, like, it was pretty unpredictable.
And they finally added the stakes, right? Like Triple H coming out and saying it's for a championship match with your respective brand and at SummerSlam, which was cool. Like the specifics, it lets you know, lays out the plan. And I didn't think the men's was quite as predictable just because we did have that Jey Uso Tama Tonga possibility. Now, once Jay lost, I knew what was happening on tonight's show.
I think everybody kind of figured that out by the time that we saw that. But hey, you know what? It was still pretty fun. We'll get into that in a lot more in just a second. But let's go ahead and start things off with these super chats and seeing what people are saying. So first and foremost, as always, thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for gifting 5 DWO memberships. Sheldon, you the man. We also have Sheldon here who says, fun fact, the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring winner receiving a world title shot will be the first world title shot awarded to the winner since one Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar defeated RVD in the King of the Ring finals in 2002. Holy smokes, man. That takes me back, like way back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the King of the Ring in terms of title shots. Like, I remember Macho King and King Booker and King Haku, and I don't think one at the King of the Ring, and King Mabel and Stone Cold Steve Austin's King of the Ring Austin 316 speech, where that happened. But I don't recall. It's not like the Royal Rumble where I'm going back and this guy challenged this. And because it was gone for so long, when they brought it back, it felt like this is lame if there isn't something now. Like, and they realized it, and I'm glad and happy about it. And it makes tomorrow's event have a little bit more gravitas than yet another, what I would call glorified house show in international place, because that's what some of these felt. That's what I thought the last one felt like. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but it just felt like a presentation, a nice show for the fans there, not anything that advanced what we were going to and heading for.
That's one of the main criticisms that the shows in Saudi always get, is that they do always feel like a glorified house show. And I can tell that WWE has been trying for it not to feel that way, because look at the big matches that they've been giving the Saudi crowds. I mean, God, they had Logan Paul and Roman Reigns, just to name one of them. But they've had some big matches where you can tell that they're trying to not make it feel like a glorified house show. However, here's my question. Why do you think they took so long to announce that there was going to be, that the winner of the King and the Queen of the Ring was going to go on and get a title shot? Because I look at this and I'm like, why didn't they announce it sooner? With this, they could have added so much more storytelling to it. Like, this could have been a bigger piece of Jey Uso on the men's side, who's been trying to get the title, who's been trying to make it happen. And this could have been part of the story. For the women, they could have used this for Io Sky. It's like, I feel like there were so many different stories that could have been played upon a lot further had we known that this was bound to happen pretty soon, even for Gunther. So I don't know. Like, I wonder if this was a last minute decision, or if this was something that they always wanted to do from the very beginning of this tournament.
Now, Triple H said the reasoning was to let the tournament stand on its own before that happened. I don't know if that's true or not, but if I'm thinking strategically, why they waited, to rev up the interest right before the event. Right? Like the rest of that was filling TV time. You and I are talking about it, but on the eve or whatever, what's the word for 2 days before something?
The eve before the eve. Because I know Christmas Eve. It's the eve to Christmas Eve.
Yeah. So either way, you get the point. I think by announcing it earlier this week, Triple H all of a sudden ups the anticipation for King of the Ring, because otherwise, I got to be honest with you, I would have been like, I mean, I was going to watch it, of course, but now I'm kind of locked in. However, Gunther and Randy Orton feels like the main event to me, not Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, we'll get to that in just a second. But before we switch gears, so Triple H waiting until like 3 days or so, however many days in advance to make this announcement to you was a lot more appealing than if they would have announced it ahead of time.
I mean, I can't retroactively. That you're probably right. There are things they could have done, but I get it if that was the logic behind it. I get it because right when we get there, you get revved up and you get hyped. Versus if we had found out a month and a half ago or whenever that was, we would know the whole time, okay, now it's here versus, all right, this is happening. What is the point? Oh, that's the point. I'm locked in.
Right, because honestly, like, let's be real. Like now, for example, like the last time we had it with Xavier Woods won and Zelina Vega, after the initial, yay, they won, round of applause, it didn't go anywhere and nobody cared anymore. It was like, oh, you're coming out with your crown. Still, X amount of months later, move along. And that was sort of the reaction I think people had to the King and Queen of the Ring. So now when you reward, it's, you know how I see the King and Queen of the Ring, Robin? So you've been to weddings, right? Have you ever caught the, for the guys, they throw the little, oh my gosh, what's it called?
Corsage? No, that is
oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. I literally wore one at my wedding and I can't remember the freaking name. It's the little ribbon that you wear around your thigh, and the guy, the husband is supposed to, the garter.
Oh.
The garter. Oh my God, it was bothering me. I'm like, girl, you wore one for your freaking wedding. You can't even remember.
On the Eve's Eve.
Okay, so the garter. So the garter's for the guys, the husband throws it, and then the guy catches it, and he usually dances with whoever catches the bouquet. All right. So can you imagine how silly it would be if a week later the guy still comes out wearing his the garter that he caught, or the girl still walked around with her flower bouquet? It's like, moment passed, we celebrated you at the wedding, don't come next week showing up to work with it. You know what I'm saying?
What would it work for the right personality type as a pickup move if he just showed up to every joint with the garter, like, oh, you're mine.
Hey, I'm gonna get married soon. It says so right here. I caught the garter because that's the belief, right? Yes. Oh, I actually caught the flower bouquet 3 times prior to me getting married.
3 times?
3 times.
Small weddings? Intimate
No,
weddings?
Robin, I'm extreme. I'm very competitive. I'm a very competitive person. So and I was obviously single, and I was like, I'm going to win. So I was fighting for it. And I caught it. 3 times.
Would you have like a barbed wire baseball bat or something? So
it's true. So can I say it's true? Because I did get married afterwards. So I think it's true, the saying that if you catch it, you get married afterwards.
Well, look, I don't doubt it. I've seen your work ethic on display, and to be a woman to carve out as big a space in pro wrestling, there has to be, a driving force behind that. A little bit of crazy,
a little bit of crazy, psychotic. Robin, you had the glass shatter moments of like, this bitch crazy. She caught the wedding bouquet 3 times.
Yeah, because like you could also make, like, from the guy's point of view, you might want to get out of the way.
No, like every time I won, like I think the first 2 times, well, I mean, it all happened like within a couple of years apart, but I remember the last time that I caught it, I turned and I looked at my husband before he was my husband, and I was like, you see? I was like, look at me. Anyways.
He was on at that point. He knew it was put up or shut up time.
Yeah, for reals. All right, we got Kevin Zwicker here who says, loved Tama's entrance. Dude, the flames, the fire, all of it. It was actually pretty cool.
And he's crawling around and everything. Yeah, the presentation of him has been interesting. The bootleg bloodline that we got going on.
Oh, man. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So I want to start things off with the Queen of the Ring tournament. And this is the one that we kind of talked about being a little bit more on the unpredictable side. So on Monday Night Raw, we saw Lyra Valkyria defeat Io Sky. I actually thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought it was going to be Io Sky, but Lyra, she gets the victory and she's moving on. And so then today we get Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair. And I think at this point it was pretty clear that Nia Jax was going to win. We talked about this last week. Bianca Belair was not 100% in this match. We see her literally lift up Nia Jax and powerbomb her. But then when she tried to go for the kiss of death, it just wasn't happening. And so that ended up working against against her, and Nia Jax was able to successfully get the win. And now it's going to be Nia Jax versus Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Lyra getting elevated, that's good for her. But what happened tonight, a few things. Number one, Bianca Belair is excellent at selling. I've noticed that, many times. There's been times where I thought she was like legitimately really injured and I'm concerned. And then she worked that angle into the story of the match, predating last week, obviously, and then what happened today. But Nia Jax, other than that fact that we knew that Bianca was hobbled, beat her clean. And that's not a common thing. Like, I'm trying to remember the number of times Bianca Belair has been beaten clean in the middle of the ring. It has not, it's probably on one hand that you can make that count through her illustrious career thus far. And Nia feels like a legit presence. I salute her. I think in her return, this newest WWE run, she's been very, very good. So much improved. She feels like a legitimate, intimidating force. She's had better matches. She's doing better on the mic. Even the little promo she cut after she beat Bianca, echoing some of the sentiments I'm saying right now. Like, I just beat Bianca. Like, you're NXT for me.
I liked that. I love that. And there was actually a little thing that Nia Jax did that I thought was very funny. She did this like little royal highness pose. And I was like, okay, that's pretty funny for Nia Jax to do. Because obviously, like, now that you're already incorporating the queen's attributes, that's already going to be like super heel right away. But her calling out Lyra Valkyria and basically saying that if I can do that to Bianca Belair, I can do that to you. You're right. That was a really smart point to make. And everybody that listened to her is kind of like, oh shit, she's kind of right. So now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, all right, with her saying that specific line, it made me feel like they want to surprise us, right? Do you think Lyra's winning this? Because there's a part of me that's like, I know it would be a huge swerve. I know people would be very happy to see Lyra win. There's a lot of people on social media. I've been asking people for their opinions, and a lot of people have been putting Lyra's name constantly over and over. However, it just seems to me that Nia Jax is winning this because, like you mentioned, Triple H making the announcement that that person's going to go on and get a title shot. It makes more sense for Nia Jax to go after Bayley because we've already seen her attack Bayley a couple weeks ago. Actually, the day of the draft or the day of the draft is when she attacked her. Yeah, it was that day. And then today they sort of circled back to that with that little confrontation that they had backstage. And then on top of that, it's not like Bayley has a big real feud right now. So if she were to get into a feud with Nia Jax, it's perfect.
Yeah, no, I think it is overwhelmingly likely that Nia Jax wins. That does make sense. The one way it doesn't go that way is if Jade winds up costing her or somehow that goes down because they've sort of teased a few of these things. And one of them is that eventual Jade, Nia Jax extended program and one-on-one match payoff. But going back to what you said, the fact that when she initially showed up on SmackDown, she was after Bayley, and the build that she's gotten, it almost feels like you would take the air out of that a little bit if she lost, unless it was really well done how she fell, because she can't just get pinned in that match, I don't believe. Meanwhile, the other way around, you're talking about someone who is making a name for themselves and is already achieved something by being in the finals. It's already surprised us by being in the finals. So there's not really a downside there.
Right. And I just don't see Lyra right now going for the championship already. So that's why I'm still like, it would be an awesome moment and everybody would be excited and be like, oh shit. But I just see them doing a lot more with Nia Jax as the winner. And I can see like if Lyra loses, because they've sort of been doing this thing with her on Raw where she's sort of feeling like Becky's little sister. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think they might run with that because we've been seeing them sort of collide a whole lot. Like their stories have intersected and Becky has been really supportive of Lyra. So I'm wondering if like her losing is going to be this thing of like where all of a sudden we're seeing Becky give her some pep talks and Becky decides to take her under her wing, something along those lines, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, what is Becky doing, eventually too, after you've got the thing with Liv going on. There's a lot of, that's one thing I'll say that is interesting. There's a lot of uncertainty because there's a lot of stories that are blended together. and a lot of different characters interacting on various things. Because when you can't, even tonight, we'll get to the King of the Ring in a minute. You could go either way on the result there. Obviously, we're talking about how, Lyra could be positioned going forward. Nia has the thing with Jade going on at the same time as she has this thing with Bayley going on. And then you're referencing what's going on over on Raw. So it gives way to a myriad of different directions that they could definitely go and stories they could open up.
We got a super chat here from Jana. Thank you so much to Jana, who says, Lyra versus Nia gives me David versus Goliath vibes. Won't lie, it'll be interesting. It definitely is. And I think that's what they wanted to paint. Like, that's the visual that we're going to get. Because Lyra's a really good wrestler. So I can't wait to see how she's going to find ways to try to bring down Nia Jax. But Nia Jax is going to have a good time, trying to rip her apart too. So I think that both of them, I think this is going to be a good match. And what a freaking stage for Lyra to have. This is the biggest match of her career. She's going to be in front of this giant audience.
This is a chance for her to make a name for herself. Really. I mean, obviously she's already done that to a certain degree, but you know what I mean? On a wider stage, bigger crowd, more eyeballs than ever before in a showcase match with something on the line, because this is the kind of match she can lose and look good, right? Like David versus Goliath. David ain't supposed to win versus Goliath. But I do think, yes, I mean, 100% by leagues, it's the biggest match of her career. And we've seen, people take a little bit like that and really cement that. Tiffany Stratton recently did it in the show in Australia. I think she had her breakout moment, and then you realize, okay, all this little buzz, all the bubbling, this is a real thing. And the same thing for Lyra. How this match goes could set the course for her career one way or another. I don't want to overstate it, but that sometimes is the case.
Robin, you literally read my freaking mind, because I was literally about to say she needs to have a Tiffany Stratton moment the way she did at the Elimination Chamber. And then you said it and I was like, yes, exactly that. She needs to have that moment so that, again, the powers that be would be like, okay, we've got something here. Let's roll with this. And regardless, like, even if she doesn't get that kind of a reaction, they're still going to push her because, again, she's so new. But this is the difference between this performance is going to be the difference between, are we going to push you the way that we push Tiffany and Jade, or are we going to push you the way that we push Zoe Stark? Because if you remember, Zoe Stark was doing very, very well. She got some big storylines, everything, but it only went to a certain extent. And now she's sort of thrown into this tag team with Shayna Baszler. And that's kind of just, it's totally different than how things first got started with her. So I feel like this is the moment for Lyra to really show that, hey, she can go and that she can be one of the top women and that the company can invest in her.
And that, the crowd, the crowd plays a big factor in that. Like, how much is she going to win that crowd over, wow that crowd, and have them go, oh, because let's be real, I think, that the Saudi crowd at any place, they're just as big of fans as anywhere else, but you're going to get more casuals to an event like that come in and people that aren't following maybe as intimately. So there will be a lot of people going, oh, who is this? Just like there might be on TV, who is this? And that's not a bad thing, because the answer may be definitive by the end. You can make the answer definitive, but if you have people going, oh, that was okay, that was fine, it doesn't really do the job. It's got to be, this is awesome.
Yes, I feel that. And like you said, even Tiffany with the loss, everybody was saying she was the MVP. So again, even with the loss, she can still come out an MVP in this match. We got Stephen Marchuli, who says, I'd be down for Liv versus Lyra. Ooh, that would be good. That would be really good. And they're both like around the same size, but I don't know. I think that would be really fun. I like that. Thank you so much, Stephen. Is that something you'd be interested in, Robin?
I like everything going on with Liv right now. I mean, it feels she's got something. She's got some zestiness going on right now. Whatever happened with Rhea unlocked something for Liv for me, because I wasn't with her internet fans who were always getting mad all the time before. Like, I wasn't like, yeah, she deserves all this. I didn't feel it, but she's got something right now. It's really unfortunate circumstances, how it came to be, but it feels like there's a little electricity with everything she's involved with right now.
Yeah, I feel you. When you got that electricity, you got to freaking take it and run with it, man. Freaking run with it. All right. So, by the way, Pierre asked, do we think Lyra can lift Nia? I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, she's a strong girl, but I don't think she's like the level of strong that Bianca is.
Well, I mean, maybe that's part of the way they work it in and impress you is she does do it, and you know, Nia's got to give her a little help, maybe perhaps to get that done.
Dude, all right. Well, if she does that, I'm gonna be hella impressed by Lyra if she does. All right. So let's go ahead and switch gears. And I want to get into another big topic. And this was one that you sort of just mentioned earlier, and you like literally made me think, huh. So you had said, actually, I'm skipping over it. Never mind. I have to tie these in together. I was about to skip into the Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul stuff, but I need to tie that into the men's King of the Ring. Sorry, dudes. I just skipped right over them. All right. Tama Tonga, Randy Orton. Randy Orton gets the win. And again, this was sort of, we pretty much predicted this at this point. From the very beginning, Randy Orton versus Gunther seemed like the outcome that we were going to get for King of the Ring. And then that was solidified this Monday when we saw Jey Uso lose his match and seeing Gunther retain. So, with that being said, I didn't think the match was too great. It was very, very slow pace. Like there really weren't any fireworks. I was more so just waiting to see how the finish was going to go down. Randy Orton gets the win. We have Gunther out there watching, and now it's going to be Randy versus Gunther. And the best thing about this is that those added stakes that Triple H said, I think impact this match the most because these are two guys that you can both see going up against Cody Rhodes. Randy Orton, his former mentor, Gunther, the strongest booked guy in WWE, the most dominant guy in WWE right now, going up against your champion. Those are two guys that you can run with either option.
Though I do believe Triple H said it was for your respective brands. So under those
He said that?
Yeah, under those stipulations, Gunther winning means the Damian Priest title. So that is intriguing to me because here's the thing.
That changes things.
Yeah, it does. Because if Cody were to go against Gunther, you're in a no-win situation there because if you don't want to take the belt off Cody necessarily, but you can't afford to give Gunther that high-profile loss when you're trying to build him up. So Gunther winning makes sense in the sense of it's a clear coronation moment for him to go get that other title. He'll obviously win it at SummerSlam if he wins King of the Ring. But then that other outcome, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes is a legitimate blockbuster match. I mean, that's if you're headlining SummerSlam, you could do it even if there is no Roman or there's no Rock. And I hope Roman is back by then. But let's say he's not. Cody and Randy Orton, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. That's the start of a headline card for SummerSlam.
Dude, I'm like, now that you said that, because I didn't even realize that it was for their respective brands. I just figured like, oh, he gets to pick whoever. And of course, whoever wins is going to pick Cody Rhodes. Damn, it kind of changes things a little bit. To a certain extent. All right. Because look, Randy Orton, if he doesn't win this, they're still gonna find a way to get his match with Cody Rhodes. And you want to know why? Because there ain't really anybody else. So I feel like they can still find their way to Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. If he doesn't win this match, he might not find his way to Damian Priest or to whoever is the champion by then.
So, but I think it hurts Gunther less to lose to Randy Orton at King of the Ring than it would for him to lose once he gets there, right? I mean, I get it. He already lost to Sami, and it would be two fairly recent big PLE losses for him. But I think it would be okay given the Legends status of Randy Orton, obviously, and everything else. And it wouldn't be – it's a high-profile event, but it's not the high-profile event. I think if he were to get there and then lose, that's a problem. But, I mean, he's not losing that World Heavyweight title if he gets there. So I don't know where they're – I honestly don't know how they're going to finish it. And that's the best thing about this because you've got two legitimate main eventers. I think Gunther's on his way there. And Randy has obviously been there. You've got two guys who I think physically match up well. They look good across the ring from one another. You got two guys who know what the hell they're doing in there. You know, Gunther, the ring general, and Randy Orton, the Viper, the vet, right? That's why it's the main event. I don't care where they put Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes. I don't care which match goes on last. The main event of King of the Ring is Randy Orton and Gunther, and you can't tell me otherwise.
You know, I'm not even going to argue you. Well, Robin, I can't even argue you on that because we're sitting here debating who is actually going to win, Gunther or Randy. We're debating. We're trying to see, okay, well, if Randy wins, this is the scenario. If Gunther wins, this is the scenario. And we're painting out scenarios, right? Versus with Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul, we already know the scenarios. We don't got to paint it. We don't got to put much thought into it. We know Cody is winning, and they basically didn't plant any seed of doubt that wasn't going to happen. And I think that is the issue. Again, we're looking forward to the match. We've liked the back and forths, but that does not actually mean that there's a seed planted of doubt in our heads that Cody Rhodes is coming out victorious.
Especially when they took the U.S. title away. Obviously. You know, like, you know what I mean? No, obviously.
You've got nothing to lose, bro.
Yeah, you're keeping the title on him so he can lose it to LA Knight later. We get it. I don't know. I mean, I said it before. That build has done nothing for me. The AJ Cody build did nothing for me. Randy and Cody would do something for me. That one I'm excited about. But just like going into this event, it's like 10 times. I'm 10 times more excited for Randy Orton and Gunther than I am for Cody and Logan.
Yeah, and see, like, I don't blame you. Sometimes it depends, right? Sometimes, like, the match that you're most excited for, you're either most excited because it's your favorite wrestler, or it's the match that you know is going to be the best, or it's the one that you truly do not know which direction it's going to go. And it's very rare when we get those ones. Usually I feel like nowadays a lot of things feel very predictable where like you can sort of predict where and how things are going to turn out. And so I like when there's a little bit of like, oh, I'm not feeling sure. I love it when I don't feel sure about who's going to win a match because then that gets me far more invested in it. And so, yeah, with that being said, like I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of magic Logan Paul and Cody create in the ring. But because I don't know for sure if Randy or Gunther is taking it, my intrigue does lie a little bit more so in that King of the Ring finals match because I know that that's going to change everything. If Gunther wins, I'm like, dude, he is one step closer to that World Heavyweight Championship picture. But that World Heavyweight Championship picture right now is looking pretty crowded because you have Damian Priest, right? Cool. He's a champ. But I can't wait to see Drew McIntyre become champion. I can't wait to see Gunther become champion. Now you got Drew and Gunther and you say, Denise, who should be champion? I'm going to lost for words. I can't pick. It's like trying to pick which kid you love more.
And they've elevated that title in the process. It did, Roman called it the consolation prize and all that. And it did feel that way for a while, perhaps just because of how long Roman's title reign was. So, that's the one they're celebrating, the countdowns, and he's breaking these records and whatnot. And then here's the brand new belt. And Seth Rollins, let me give him some credit because I was a little harsh on him in the build up to WrestleMania, but I think The Rock nailed it in some of the MVP takes afterwards. Like Rollins, the way he worked into that story was beautiful and poetic. And obviously he did a lot to try and elevate that title. And now it feels elevated because it feels like it matters. And it feels like it would be an achievement for Gunther. But if Gunther doesn't win, I'm also curious, where does he go from there? Like, what do they do with him next if he doesn't win that? And so it's not only the uncertainty of who's going to win or not, but it's also, I believe that's going to be the best match in the ring as well. Like, Logan's really good with the spot fest stuff, and it's really, really good for where he is in his career right now. And Cody's obviously excellent in the ring as well. But I just feel like the stylistic matchup, knowing the stakes and knowing the unpredictable nature with the two guys who are in there has the recipe for a 5-star kind of deal.
I feel you, man. Hey, what if Cody, I was going to say, well, for Gunther and Randy, you're right about that. That could be a 5-star deal. But imagine Cody and Logan pull out another 5-star match. That'll be 5-star matches back to back for Cody. Okay, so final thoughts then, prediction-wise. I'm still going to stick with Gunther, Robin, because I feel like they always say, right, go with your gut, go with your first instinct. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm going to stick with Gunther.
I'm going Randy Orton. I'm going Randy Orton. I like the way Randy and Cody looks on the marquee. It would be the first thing that's happened because let's say Gunther wins, and maybe he does, and the bloodline costs. Randy's had that little quasi feud with the bloodline going on, so that could factor in. But who is, unless Rock or Roman is coming back, then who is Cody facing at SummerSlam? And considering I don't know what the timeline is for either of those guys, I would hope Roman's around for SummerSlam, but I don't know what the timeline is. I think Cody and Randy is a legitimate, sellable main event, a legitimate, sellable story, and the best possible way to get me excited about Cody's title reign right now.
I like how you're like, the best way to get me excited.
Well, I'm the consumer.
Well, it's true. Yeah, you are the consumer, honestly. Yeah. And the fans are going to want what they want.
Get out of nowhere and get me excited about it.
By the way, I shout out to the fan today at Smackdown who had the RKO for Randy King of the Ring.
Oh, pretty good.
That was pretty good. I hadn't seen that anywhere.
RKO, it's up there. It might be the GOAT. I mean, Sweet Chin music has now penetrated pop culture and the lexicon. And I've referenced with Kendrick's the Sweet Chin music, and I won't pass the ox. And so it gets referenced a lot. And I've always loved that move. I never understood why Shawn Michaels would signal for it. It seemed like you would tip off your opponent. Why would you do that? I get it for the show. But the RKO, I mean, what better move to do into a swimming pool, right? Like it's summertime. It's taken on a life of its own. It's like the Stone Cold Stunner on steroids. And it's a part of pop culture, like the RKO itself.
I see a bunch of people do videos where they're like RKO out of nowhere all the time. You know what's funny? Those videos will always make me stop and watch them because I'm like, oh, I want to see how this person just randomly took the RKO all the damn time.
It happens to me like 3 times a day with my son Raj. RKO out of nowhere. I'm like, dude, I'm 40-something. Leave me alone.
You're like, damn, this is gonna hurt. You're like, my bump card is almost out.
Yeah. I got a bad hip, son.
That's sad. That's so sad. All right, we got some super chats to get into. This one's from Mike Parker, who says Lyra might have a chance since Gunther is practically a lock. Hard to see heels winning both tournaments. Also, Lyra is on Raw. Becky could lose to Liv, and Lyra could challenge Liv. Let me think about this really quickly. So first of all, when Xavier Woods and Zelina won, was Zelina a babyface or a heel when that happened? I think she was a babyface, wasn't she?
I believe.
And so was Xavier Woods.
Xavier definitely was.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like it's fine if they have 2 heels win, right?
But why is Gunther practically a lock? That part I don't understand.
I think because he means that I think he's feeling just a lot more positive, a lot more sure that Gunther's winning.
Yes, I get what he's saying. I just don't understand why he feels that way. So I
don't know, because I kind of feel that way to a certain extent.
That it's a lock? Wow.
That's why I'm still sticking with Gunther.
Didn't they do the backstage Cody Randy thing today?
Yeah, I know, but it's Gunther.
That's
my defense.
Gunther too, but
that's all I've got. It's Gunther. That's literally my only defense. Let's see if it holds up in court. All right, so maybe not necessarily a lock, of course, pro wrestling card subject to change, but I could see both. What I'm saying is I can see both heels winning, though, if that were to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, they've changed that a little bit. Even at WrestleMania, I remember going through my head all these different scenarios, all these good guys can't win, and it turned out to be like sort of the coronation moment both nights of WrestleMania, other than the main event on night 1 to set up what happened on night 2. But if I'm looking back, like were there any big heel victories at WrestleMania?
Oh Lord, for this year's WrestleMania?
Yeah, this year's, because Cody won,
Bailey won, Sammy won,
yeah.
Like the big championships were all babyface moments.
Yeah, Jay won
Jey Uso won too. The only one was Drew McIntyre, and then he lost it a couple seconds later.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to see if the chat brings up. Oh, Logan Paul. Logan Paul was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And Zelina was a heel, according to everybody here on the chat. Okay, cool, because I didn't remember that.
I don't remember much about that and Queen of the Ring, other than I remember Xavier Woods like touting it. Like he was like, I finally did it. I'm the King of the Ring.
Aces and Eights says, got to keep a balance. Heels need love too. I agree. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got Jana here who says Bash in Berlin is right after SummerSlam as well. Gunther versus Ilya. Jana, from your mouth to God's ears, because seriously, that is something that, like I've said so many times before, that's why I was okay with Ilya losing in the tournament, because I know when they circle back to Gunther and Ilya, it needs to be on a big stage, and they haven't shied away from it. They've done a couple of teases on Monday Night Raw. They haven't shied away from it at all.
No, not at all. And therefore, if Gunther does win, what's the purpose of that match in the build-up versus if he loses, it could be a sort of organic feud based off wherever Gunther is going next too. So that's why I really don't think it's a lock that he's necessarily winning, because I'm not sure what their future plans are for him, but they've obviously foreshadowed that clash happening, and that would be a perfect, destination for it.
We got Christopher Marina who says, also, Randy isn't known for taking big bumps or stiff stuff. Gonna be interesting to see how he does with those Gunther chops. Ooh, it's gonna be a good freaking time, man. I cannot wait to see that. Christopher Marino, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you, man. We got Rafael Garcia who says, Randy's winning tomorrow. I don't think you put the strap on Gunther until Berlin, and the title shot being for SummerSlam throws a wrench if he wins. So I gotta tell you, that's not a bad point.
Yeah, like I just said, like if he wins, why is he fighting? Ilya or whatever. If he already has this guarantee, unless somebody's challenging him for that slot or that spot or whatever the case may be, or they say, you're the number one contender. I'm going to show you why I should be the number one contender. I feel like there's more narrative for him in a loss in the in-between lead up, and there's a longer possible build for a Randy and Cody match.
You guys have me stressed out, man. I'm sitting here going, I thought I had made a decision already. I'm easily persuaded now. Lawrence Ross says, hi, sorry to get off topic. Have you been following the Uncle Howdy stuff tonight? Thoughts? Of course, man. I know Robin's been breaking that down since I know his son is obsessed with it. So I feel like this is your segment right here.
Yeah,
like, tell us what's going on.
It was complicated this evening, I got to tell you. First of all, it took me like 3 or 4 times to catch the QR code. It was very fast. I had to rewind it because my son, like, did you get the QR code? Did you get the QR code? And then when you take the QR code, let me see if I actually still have it up on my browser here. It is like 1 billion different links off the QR code tonight. So this is what it looks like.
Oh my God. All of those are links?
All those are links to something else. So why didn't I trust him? All right. Why didn't I trust him?
And it takes you to that. Oh, it's a whole poem practically.
Yeah. And that it's like that for every single link in there. There's like all these
shit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I am to be free. I am purpose, truth, the prodigal son unveiled. I haven't totally deciphered it as of yet, but that is where the QR code took you tonight.
What do you make of it so far though?
It's breadcrumbs and clues, and it seems to be hinting at a faction, and obviously it's a little creepier, I think, than even the last time around.
Really?
That they did it. Yeah, I mean I
was gonna say, I feel like it's been creepy the whole time.
Yeah. The last one I think before that was the kid with the mask on and the weird mantra being repeated behind him. I mean, I can't tell you any of it makes sense to me. If I'm being real, like I don't know, but it's cryptically riveting, I guess is the way to put it.
I just think like it's satisfying when you as a fan are able to piece something together, because it just gives you like that validation of like, I was smart enough to figure it out. Like, people like that shit. I love that shit every time, because Taylor Swift does a bunch of that type of stuff, and the fans like to decode things. And I know, certain fandoms do this a whole lot too. It's like a thing, right? And so whenever you figure it out, you're like, it got that extra confidence going.
For this one, it's gonna take you a minute. Like I would have to do homework for the show to have it all worked out.
For reals. Lawrence Ross, thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you so much for asking about that. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see what else we got here. I want to get into the Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory segment that we got here. This was very, very quick, and it led to a match. Basically, Carmelo, Austin, and Grayson were all talking shit on LA Knight. LA Knight comes out to a massive reception in Saudi Arabia, and this leads to a 6-person match with Carmelo, Austin, and Grayson versus the Street Profits and LA Knight. What'd you make of the whole thing?
I think this was a showcase to get LA Knight out in front of the crowd. I like Carmelo working this heel angle. I was digging that. You know, the synergy he had with Grayson and Austin. I thought that worked pretty well. But LA Knight is over like Rover everywhere. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's like him and Jey Uso on the respective brands.
Who do you like more, LA Knight or Jey Uso? I like Jey Uso more.
I have to say Jey Uso just because my son absolutely loves Jey Uso. That's his absolute favorite, so I can't break that trust. But I do like saying LA Knight. Yeah, I like saying that. And my littlest one does that. I think I sent you the video of him doing that the one time.
See, but I think that's like my reason why I'm not like the biggest LA Knight fan, is because I haven't really been given a reason to be. It's like, oh yeah, I love to chant LA Knight, yeah, and it's fun to do the yeah. But after that, what else is there? What else have you gotten?
Well, I don't think either of those guys has had great in-ring.
See, with Jey Uso, for me, it's different because I love his work that he did with the Bloodline. So you have all of that. You have his whole legacy as a tag team, multiple tag team champ with his brother. So for me, there's a lot more there. So I see it differently versus I haven't had that yet with LA Knight.
Well, you're invested with his character. I mean, going back to the Sammy thing, I mean, that was cinema, as they say, right? Like, so there's all that with Jay. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, LA Knight had his chance against Roman. It was okay. But whatever we could say it all we want. Man shows up in front of crowd cheers man. Right? Like,
that's true. That's definitely true.
No matter what happens. So I think that, you know, he's almost big enough in a sense where they just would like, let's give him a showcase. But I mean, that's where it's difficult with somebody like that, where he is in his career. And it's probably why he's positioned for the US title and not the heavyweight title. And not the WWE title, because they recognize how popular and over he is, but they also probably recognize what you're saying. You know, what are we actually doing with him? Where's the character investment? Where's the storyline investment? What's the future? Is he good enough in the ring consistently? And you land on US title against Logan Paul, because that's something that's a dynamic I think that could really work. You know, the heel annoying Logan Paul against the really over catchphrase saying LA Knight. Everybody's going to want to say his catchphrases against Logan Paul. Everybody's going to cheer when he wins. And no disrespect to the US title, but it's a secondary title, and it won't really mean much except for feeling like some validation for this LA Knight popularity.
Right. And so that's why I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm here for it, but at the same time, I already know what to expect. And until you give me something different, I can't go out and be like, yeah, I'm so invested in this. Like, please, like, give me a reason. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm still looking for a reason. Well, I guess speaking of reasons, we kind of touched on this a little bit. I don't want to, we should definitely dive into it a little bit more. And that is Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. You already said it earlier, man. You're more interested in the King of the Ring final, but what did you make of the confrontation that we had back and forth today with Cody and Logan? Basically, Cody saying that Logan Paul had the brass nuts. Logan Paul saying he didn't. The referee does a search, finds that Logan Paul did have the brass nuts, took it away from him. Cody Rhodes takes it away from him, gets rid of them. Logan Paul then starts acting really, really childish. I don't even know what to say. Cody Rhodes did cut a very passionate promo, though, at the end of it, and basically told Logan Paul he doesn't share that exact same passion.
Yeah, I mean, well, he called him a tourist before, right? That's kind of the beat he's been trying to hit with Logan Paul and prey off the idea that, you know, he just flew in here and did this. The build feels kind of pointless to me. Cody just signed over not going after the U.S. title after he was talking about being a Grand Slam champ and everything. I think the match will be good. I think obviously Logan is supremely athletic and skilled in the ring. Cody is accomplished in the ring. Those two things should jive very well there. But it felt like something that was thrown together, and they knew they could get cheap heat off Logan Paul, and that's what it was.
Yeah, so I mean, this wasn't anything too riveting, but it was fine. I think that Logan Paul is really good at playing that childish character. And, the whole jab on him is that he's a YouTuber, right? And everyone's assumption of a YouTuber is the Paul brothers. Like, that's what you think. You're like, oh, annoying frat guy on YouTube doing silly things, right? And so when he acts that way, it feeds into the perception that people have of Logan Paul. And so that was pretty much the biggest thing out of it. But again, there really wasn't too much. With that being said, a big thing surrounding the title picture is actually AJ Styles. So AJ Styles had a backstage segment where he's very serious, very serious. He's calm, which we've been seeing angry AJ. We've been seeing super heelish AJ. We haven't seen him this calm and sort of, very grounded in this. And he was asking Nick Aldis for a second chance at the Universal title, asking. And Nick Aldis basically said, no, like, I would love to, but no, because you already had your chance and you have to earn it again. And that's going to take time. And the big thing here was that AJ Styles said, I don't have that time. And I'm thinking, oh, no, what are we talking about here, AJ? Because I know we've all been wondering, when is AJ Styles when is he going to retire, right? It feels like he still has so much more left in him, but does he want to continue going with this strict schedule? He has a family. He's got a lot going on. Like, is he going to still continue to be on the road? I don't know.
I thought that was a very poignant, pointed, and effective segment. I really liked it a lot. I liked it from both angles. I thought they both did a really good job, and it's the most interested and invested I've felt in AJ Styles in a long time, because I feel like in the other recent matches, you were sort of relying on Styles' credibility and his ability. You know how good he is in the ring, and you know how credible he is throughout his career, but it didn't feel like there was a purpose. You didn't really actually think he was ever going to win some of these things, and he was just there to move things along. Now it feels like, oh, okay, I have a reason to be reinvested in him, because it's true. He doesn't have he seems human. He's connecting to us. I care about him. I feel that struggle. I heard those words from Aldis, and I understand how it made AJ Styles feel. So it almost reinvigorates him to me. Like, where do they go next with him? I'm now more interested in this next arc for AJ Styles than I was in his previous arc with Cody Rhodes, even though that was for the title.
Yeah, because now they're putting a clock on it. And I'm like, it's exciting. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I'm not here for it. I'm not ready for no retirement, none of that. I don't know exactly when his contract is up. I did a quick Google search just to try to remember it. I think they said like 2024, but I'm not too sure on that. So don't really take my word for that. I'm not really too sure when AJ Styles' contract is up or what. So, man, I do know that in 2022, though, he did sign an extension. So, and I don't know how long that extension was for. So again, there's a lot of question marks surrounding, the timing there for AJ Styles, but damn. Oh, it's giving me the feels, Robin. It's giving me the feels. And like you said, it's working though, because he was so grounded, you're like, damn, I've kind of felt bad for him. I'm like, dude, he's trying to level with you here, Nick. Like, give him a second chance, man. I wanted him to give him a second chance.
But Nick Aldis' position was correct.
He garnered sympathy from me, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it was good. It was really brilliant. It was really well done. I thought it was the best moment of the show. I'm really excited about Gunther and Randy Orton as a match tomorrow, but what happened tonight to set that up was nothing spectacular. I thought the Nia Jax, Bianca Belair match finish and Nia cutting her promo the way she did was really well done. And I thought that AJ Styles, Nick Aldis moment was really well done. Those were the two standout moments of the show to me. And maybe that one, sticks with you a little bit more because it did made you feel.
It did. It did. All right. We got one last thing to get into, and that is Bayley versus Chelsea Green. This was very straightforward. Chelsea Green takes a loss to Bayley, and then afterwards, Piper Niven attacks Bayley. I feel bad that right now we're sort of waiting to see. I'm expecting, again, like I mentioned earlier, Nia Jax to be that big first opponent for Bayley. But right now, it feels like there's not really much movement going around surrounding Bayley and her championship.
Yeah, I think this is part of a lot of, we've sort of delved into this in recent weeks, but when you get to Avengers Endgame, what happens after that? And that was WrestleMania. It was just so many stories that came to their conclusion that left you feeling satisfied. And then it was like, all right, now what? And that's tough. That's tough. And they dealt with injuries. Obviously, not to say this would have affected Bayley, but Rhea on the women's side is one of them. That was significant. That probably changed things a bit. But I think we're about to get back on an on-ramp. I'm starting to sense that. We're getting back on an on-ramp because all of a sudden, if, let's say, Nia Jax does win and challenges Bayley, it feels like Bayley has something then, right?
I hope so. I really hope so, because I feel bad that, like, when she came out on the show, I was like, oh yeah, Bayley's champion. And I'm like, why is that the reaction that I'm having? Like, that should not be the reaction. I should be like, yeah, let's go, Bayley time. But instead it was a reminder of, oh yeah, she's champion.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, it just feels like she's been biding time since then, and you almost forgot about it happening, which is not something you want to be the case. But that's where this, wrinkle of the King of the Ring hopefully bears fruit, because Nia can win and say, Bayley, I'm coming for you. And like, all right, at least Bayley has a purpose. Now, that's probably not going to headline SummerSlam or anything, but it will be a match that I think we can reasonably look forward to. And then obviously on the other side of it, you might be able to put a little juice into Cody's title reign too, which I think has been lacking. And it's only natural. I mean, I keep saying this. I know I'm being critical in a sense, because I'm just giving you my opinion. That's what I do. But I also am understanding that everything can't be on 100 all the time. And they did such an unbelievably epic, unforgettable, ride to take us up to WrestleMania with satisfying conclusions everywhere. It might take a second to get everything back on track and built up. But it does feel like maybe King of the Ring is the start of that. Maybe it is the on-ramp to some of that excitement, to some of these feuds, to some of the purpose coming back to the champions that won at WrestleMania.
Especially for Bayley. Let's go. I love the way you said it. The on-ramp for that. Robin, as always, I appreciate you coming in here each and every single Friday to talk SmackDown with me. I appreciate everybody here in the chat who comes in, everybody who watches live or on replay to catch SmackDown and talk about what's going on. Of course, this episode's probably going to have the quickest turnaround, since in just a couple of hours, it's going to be Queen of the Ring and King of the Ring. So we're going to have a lot to talk by then. Of course, tomorrow I will be here doing a review of King and Queen of the Ring. It won't be a live review. It will be a taped review. A video. I should just say a video, actually. A video instead of a live stream. So keep an eye out for that. And I got lots more coming. But of course, Robin, what do you got going on?
Yeah, check out the channel. Denise links it in there. We did a wrestling video, myself and Kevin Zwicker, who sent a super chat in actually today, about the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, off of Mercedes Monet's comments. I've got a huge following around the women's basketball stuff that's going on, if you're interested in the Caitlin Clark story and all that. A couple of people have come from here over there. So that synergy is working, and I echo all your sentiment. I always can't appreciate more the people that follow and support anything I do. And I'll be on Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM right after King of the Ring tomorrow on Channel 82. I'll mix a little wrestling talk into the general sports talk as well.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right, guys, if you haven't already, please check out that interview that I did with Will Ospreay. It is up right now. Make sure to get that in before AEW Double or Nothing. Watch it. It's really fun. And I appreciate you guys each and every single week. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Oh, I'll be live tomorrow for Collision. Bye, everyone.